What's up, guys? I'm Nobody Special, and today the Turkish Lira just staged one of the biggest rallies I've ever seen a currency make, as Turkish President Erdogan just unveiled a new plan to prop up the struggling currency, and it looks like the market so far likes the idea. But once you get into the details of this plan, you'll see that what Erdogan just did was not save his currency, he just signed its death warrant, and that the Turkish Lira is now doomed to fail. Are you ready? Hit it. Thank you for joining me. I'm Jack Gamble, and I'm Nobody Special, and the Turkish Lira just had one of the biggest rallies I've ever seen a foreign currency make, and this comes after a month of just absolute beatings that the Lira has taken, as President Erdogan has put on a clinic on how to destroy a prosperous economy by lowering interest rates to fight inflation. Explain that one to me. And very predictably, the Turkish Lira has lost 44% of its value this year against the dollar because lowering interest rates is not how you fight inflation. Well, overnight, Erdogan unveiled a very unique plan, something I've never seen before, where he's basically guaranteeing deposits in Lira, where the government is basically promising to pay people the difference if the Lira loses any further strength against the dollar. And although this has initially gone over very well and the Turkish Lira has had a very good day, you'll see that once you look into the details and examine some of the specifics of the market reaction, that this is actually terrible news for the Lira and that the currency is now doomed. Now, guys, before we get into the details, I have to ask, could you please inflate that like button, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. It really helps me out, helps me to keep these videos coming your way, and I'd be forever in your debt. And I'd also point out that in lieu of a Wi-Fi password today, we have an original work of art courtesy of my mini-me, who drew this wonderful melon head for all you to enjoy. Thank you, sweetheart. Now, with that, it is time to shrink my big, fat melon of a head. And let's get into the article. Turkey's protection plan to target 3 12-month Lira deposits. Turkey's finance ministry said on Tuesday a new protection scheme meant to boost confidence in the currency will be applied to Lira deposits with maturities of 3 to 12 months and based on the central bank policy. In a statement, the ministry said all interested banks will be able to offer the instrument, which will protect against foreign exchange volatility and deposit in customer accounts the difference between foreign currency exchange rate and the deposit yield. The instrument will compare the exchange rate of opening and maturity date of the deposit account and its interest rate and remunerate the account from the higher rate, the ministry said. A withholding tax will not be charged for this instrument, it said. After hitting a series of record lows on concerns over the direction of economic policy, Turkey's Lira recovered in volatile trading on Tuesday after Turkish President Erdogan proposed the measures to protect local currency savings against such swings. So what they're basically saying here is that the Turkish government is giving an insurance policy to Turkish savers to protect their savings denominated in Lira from losing value versus the dollar. And while that might seem like a really good idea, you have to factor in the details of this. First of all, what they're offering here is really nothing more than a CD. You have to make your deposits in Lira, and you have to lock them up for 3 to 12-month periods. Now, keep in mind, the Lira has lost 44% of its value this year. So would you want to take out a CD denominated in Lira right now? Would you want to lock your savings into a currency asset that is losing value faster than anything else in the world? Not a very good proposition. So what are they offering in exchange for you taking this risk? Really nothing. All they're offering you is insurance against any further declines against the dollar, which means they're limiting your losses to 0%. But what are they offering you at the most? What, about 14% is the interest rate they're offering? So put yourself in the position of a Turkish saver right now. Would you lock up your money for 3 to 12 months for a 14% return in the face of inflation that is well above 20%? And the only thing you get in exchange for that is protection against any declines against the dollar. Why not just hold dollars? Why not just hold gold or silver? So on its face, the numbers that Turkey is offering right now, they're not really offering any benefit to the Turkish saver other than downside protection. There's very little upside. Best case scenario, the upside doesn't even keep pace with inflation right now. So this is not a very good deal for Turkish savers. That's the first thing I would mention. The other thing you have to factor in is, let's say the Lira does lose value against the dollar. Let's say it declines another 20 or 30%. Where is the Turkish government going to get the money to reimburse all of these savers who have put their money in Lira for 3 to 12 months? Where is the Turkish government going to get the money? Well, governments only get their money from one of two places: taxes or printing money. Okay, So let's say the lira loses value and the government has to write checks to all the savers who took them at their word. Where are they going to get their money? Are they going to raise taxes? So all the government's going to do is take money from its citizens in the form of higher taxes and then give them back a little bit of it in the form of this foreign exchange protection program. The other place they could get money from is the printing press. Well, Turkey can't print dollars. Turkey can only print lira. What are they going to do? If the lira loses value against the dollar, Turkey would either raise taxes or they'll print lira. Well, if they print lira to pay people for their losses of the lira's value against the dollar, all they're doing is further devaluing the lira. So what they'd be paying people back would be more worthless currency. They would only be expediting the decline of the lira. So while some people might be tempted to lock up their money in order to get some of that downside protection, the only way the government can provide that downside protection is by taxing it or inflating it away from the Turkish citizens. So the Turkish citizen is not getting anything for this deal because the Turkish citizen is footing the bill for this insurance policy that the government says they're providing. And this has always been my problem with the FDIC here in the United States. Here in the U.S., bank accounts are protected by the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Commission. Under this program, if the bank where you keep your money fails, the federal government will reimburse you your money up to $250,000. Now, this is one of the ways that the government reinstilled people's confidence in the banking system after the 1929 stock market crash and the Great Depression and the ensuing bank failures that came from that Great Depression. But if you think about it in today's terms, what does the FDIC really provide? Because if we ever had widespread bank failure here in the United States like we had in 1929, where's the FDIC going to get that money from? The government gets their money from taxes or from money printing? So if all the banks were to fail in the United States and the FDIC were to come in and try to reimburse all the citizens, the only way the government could pay for that would be to print all that money. So yeah, they'd give you back the nominal value of your savings, but the money they give you wouldn't be worth spit because the only way to get that money is to debase the currency. And that's exactly what Turkey is going to have to do if they ever need to use this downside protection insurance program to reimburse Turkish depositors in lira. Now, the other thing I would point out, and another reason why I think this is terrible news for the Turkish lira, is above all else, currencies need stability. Right? One of the reasons why Bitcoin is not a very good currency, in my opinion, is because Bitcoin's price is so volatile. And in order for currencies to work, people need to have trust in their value, and they need to trust that that value is relatively stable. If the currency is going down too fast or up too fast, it discourages the use of that currency. Now think about it. Why would you spend your Bitcoin to buy a car or a pizza if Bitcoin might be worth twice as much tomorrow? At the same point, if Bitcoin is going down in value, you might be in a hurry to sell your Bitcoin or to exchange your Bitcoin as fast as possible in order to protect the value you have today. So either way, big swings in value is terrible for a currency. And that's why I've always said Bitcoin is now more of an asset class than a currency. I still like Bitcoin. I treat it more like an asset like I would gold, silver, stocks, or real estate. Now, the reason I mention this is look at the lira's reaction today. Shrinking my head again, take a look at the chart of what the value of the lira has done just in the last week. Okay. Now, this big upward swing in the lira's value, this is against the dollar. You know, it went to a low of, it looks like 5 cents on the dollar, 5.4 cents on the dollar. And then today it rallied as high as 8.1 or 8.2 cents on the dollar. Well, like I said, currencies need stability. And if your currency could double in value overnight, you're going to discourage the use of that currency. So while it may look like the market really liked this news and people are flowing back into lira right now, just the fact that the lira could swing so much intraday is making it impossible to use as a currency. If you're a shopkeeper, how do you price your goods? How do you price your services in lira if the value of the lira might be worth twice as much tomorrow as it is right now? Likewise, how do you value your goods and services if the value of the lira might be worth half as much tomorrow? It makes price discovery impossible, which means they're only driving people to do business with other means of exchange, either barter or dollars or precious metals or who knows what. And I'd also add, while this big swing in price today may have been very big, look at after the initial reaction, it's still fluctuating tremendously. 8.1 down to 7.4, back up to 7.9. Right now it's somewhere around 7.7. How do you maintain pricing when the value of your currency is swinging like this? This is terrible for the Turkish people. This is terrible for the Turkish economy because they've made price discovery of just about anything impossible. might as well do business in dollars, might as well do business in euros. And even after this tremendous run today, I would also add that we're still well below where we were trading even back in November. So the Turkish lira has had a nice rebound, but let's look at a one-year chart of the lira. It still looks pretty lousy, doesn't it? So while the initial reaction appeared to show that the market really liked this news of what Erdogan was doing, when you look at what he's really offering, he's only offering a little bit of downside protection financed by your own money, which you're paying for. So he's not really offering anybody anything. It's an empty promise, just like the FDIC is an empty promise to Americans. And that's beside the fact that what he's offering, downside protection in exchange for locking up your money in their lousy currency for 3 months to 12 months, it's not even that good of a deal. And on top of that, the volatility that he's now introduced into his currency makes doing business in Turkey next to impossible if you're going to do business in lira. So this up and down swinging is now going to drive fewer people to use the liras because Turkish business owners are now incentivized to do business in some other currency, some other medium of exchange that is more stable. So long story short, while the reaction today in the market may have appeared to be positive, I think in the long run, this is terrible for the Turkish lira. And I think what Erdogan did today did not help his cause any. I think he has just accelerated the death of the lira. And if the Turks are really serious about fighting inflation, they need to do what everybody else needs to do, and that's raise interest rates. That's how you fight inflation. But it looks like for now, the lunatics are still running the asylum, and what's happening in Turkey is just a preview of things to come in other countries where currency debasement is being used as a means to pay for irresponsible borrowing and spending. One day, adults, pragmatic individuals may be put in charge of monetary policy in this world where real decisions based on scarce resources and scarce funds are used to decide what we pay for. That might happen someday. But today is not that day. And so we get things like Erdogan's plan to save the lira, which is going to blow up in his face. Guys, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. It really helps me out. Until next time, live small and dream big.